This is every Mikoyan ever made. Over 17 production machines. Some revolutionized air combat. Some terrified the West. Some pushed technology beyond reason.
The MiG-1 was born in urgency. As World War II loomed, the Soviet Union needed a fast, high-altitude interceptor immediately. The MiG-1 delivered speed, but at a cost. It was demanding, unforgiving, and tricky to fly. Pilots respected it more than they loved it. Still, it proved something vital. The MiG Design Bureau could build fighters fast and push performance hard. The MiG-1 wasn't refined, but it lit the fuse for everything that followed. The MiG-3 took the raw idea of the MiG-1 and pushed it further. Built for high-altitude combat, it excelled where Soviet fighters rarely did, up in thin air, chasing bombers. But most of the Eastern Front happened low and slow, where the MiG-3 struggled. Despite that mismatch, it showed remarkable speed for its time and introduced the MiG philosophy. Prioritize raw performance, accept difficulty, and trust pilots to adapt. The MiG-9 marked a leap into the jet age. It was the Soviet Union's first operational jet fighter, and it looked the part. Straight wings, nose intake, and experimental confidence. The aircraft was imperfect, with engine flameouts and gun gas problems, but it gave Soviet engineers something priceless: experience. The MiG-9 wasn't meant to dominate, it was meant to teach, and what it taught led directly to one of the most famous fighters in history. The MiG-15 changed air combat forever. Fast, heavily armed, and deadly at altitude, it shocked the world over Korea. Western pilots suddenly faced a fighter that could climb faster, turn tighter, and hit harder than expected. Its swept wings and powerful engine made it a true jet-age predator. Simple, brutal, and effective, the MiG-15 became a symbol of Soviet engineering and a global benchmark for fighter design. The MiG-17 refined the legend. It looked similar to the MiG-15, but flew better, turned harder, and handled supersonic flight more confidently. In Vietnam, it proved that skill and agility could challenge faster, more advanced jets. The MiG-17 didn't rely on electronics or missiles. It relied on pilots and performance. It became a reminder that air combat wasn't just about speed, but about control, timing, and nerve. The MiG-19 was the Soviet Union's first true supersonic fighter. Twin-engined and aggressive, it crossed Mach 1 in level flight, a major milestone. It demanded respect both from pilots and ground crews, but delivered raw power and speed. The MiG-19 represented a transition period. Jets were getting faster than human instincts could easily handle, and the skies were becoming far more dangerous. The MiG-21 is the most produced supersonic jet fighter in history, and for good reason. Small, fast, cheap, and deadly, it was designed to be everywhere. It sacrificed comfort and range for speed and simplicity. In dozens of conflicts, it proved lethal in the right hands. The MiG-21 embodied the Soviet idea of mass and efficiency, minimal luxury, maximum impact, and absolute focus on interception. The MiG-23 was bold and unconventional. With variable sweep wings, it could adapt, short wings for speed, wide wings for maneuvering. It was built to counter advanced Western fighters and bombers, prioritizing radar and missiles over dogfighting finesse. While challenging to master, it marked a clear shift toward beyond visual range combat. The MiG-23 showed MiG evolving from brute force toward systems-driven warfare. The MiG-25 was pure intimidation. Built to fly absurdly fast and incredibly high, it terrified Western intelligence. Capable of Mach 2.8 plus, it wasn't agile. It didn't need to be. Its mission was simple: intercept anything that dared cross Soviet airspace. When the West finally examined one, they realized it wasn't elegant, it was purpose-built. The MiG-25 proved speed itself could be a weapon. The MiG-27 took the MiG-23's airframe and dragged it into the dirt, literally. Designed for ground attack, it traded radar for armor and firepower. It flew low, fast, and dangerous, striking targets with precision and aggression. The MiG-27 wasn't glamorous, but it was tough. It showed that MiG fighters could adapt from air dominance to brutal battlefield support.
The MiG-29 was a return to dogfighting excellence. Agile, powerful, and visually striking, it was built to face the F-15 and F-16 head-on. Its engines roared, its helmet-mounted sight changed combat forever, and its maneuverability was breathtaking. The MiG-29 restored MiG's reputation for close-range dominance while introducing modern avionics. It felt alive, a fighter built for pilots who wanted to fight. The MiG-31 is not a fighter. It's a flying radar fortress. Massive, fast, and brutally powerful, it was designed to patrol vast Soviet skies and destroy threats hundreds of kilometers away. Its speed, altitude, and long-range missiles made it unmatched as an interceptor. The MiG-31 doesn't dogfight, it hunts. And once it locks on, escape becomes a theory rather than a plan. The MiG-35 is the modern evolution of the MiG philosophy. Multi-role, digital, and sensor-heavy, it blends agility with advanced avionics and precision weapons. Designed for modern networked warfare, it focuses on versatility rather than specialization. While it lacks the shock factor of earlier MiGs, it represents adaptation. A fighter built to survive and operate in a world of drones, data, and long-range threats. The MiG-AT represents a shift in focus. Built as an advanced jet trainer, it was designed to prepare pilots for modern combat aircraft. Subsonic, agile, and cost-effective, it emphasized handling characteristics over raw performance. The MiG-AT showed that the Bureau could design beyond frontline fighters. Training the next generation required different thinking, different priorities, and different engineering solutions. The MiG-29K adapted the legendary fulcrum for carrier operations. Reinforced airframe, folding wings, and arresting gear transformed a land-based dogfighter into a naval strike platform. It brought MiG's agility and firepower to the deck of aircraft carriers, expanding Soviet and Russian naval aviation capabilities. The MiG-29K proved that even proven designs could evolve for entirely new operational environments. The Skat marks MiG's entry into unmanned combat, a stealthy jet-powered drone designed for reconnaissance and strike missions. It represented a fundamental shift in design philosophy. No cockpit, no pilot, just sensors and weapons. The Skat was a technology demonstrator, exploring how MiG's combat experience translated into autonomous systems. It signaled a future where the Bureau's legacy would extend beyond manned flight. The MiG 1.44 was ambition made metal. Designed as a fifth-generation fighter with stealth features, thrust vectoring, and advanced avionics, it pushed every boundary. It flew only as a technology demonstrator, never reaching production. Budget constraints and shifting priorities ended its development. But the MiG 1.44 wasn't a failure, it was a statement. Soviet engineering could compete at the cutting edge, even if geopolitics wouldn't allow it. So that was the Mikoyan family. I didn't include prototypes or experimental aircraft. I focus only on production models this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.